Reno Tarakardini.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm pleased to join in opposition to this bill, sir, for the reasons that have been outlined by Mr Shaw. Whilst the Labour Party supports the intent of this bill, and we did support it at the first reading, unfortunately, the main thrust of the bill is its lack of independence. And it's all great to have experienced officials and the statistician and the Secretary for the Environment involved in producing these reports. However, sir, the actual topics that those reports will cover is completely in the domain of the government and the minister. It is true. And so therefore, the member that just resumed her seat before, Ms Hayes, I mean, there's no better example of our opposition to this bill than from her speech, sir, because she talked about this so-called independence. She talked about the wonderful work that has been going on in the various domains, water quality, air, and various other domains which are covered by this bill, sir. But, however, sir, she and I'm referring back to her speech before she was interrupted last week or the week before. But, sir, she was basically giving us the government's spin lines through their blue-tinted lenses as to what they're doing around the environment. And that's the very reason why we are opposing this bill, because that's the very reason why it lacks independence. And so, sir, if this bill, we are the only country in the OECD that doesn't have a legislative basis for independent financial reporting. And all Kiwis want to know and be sure that we have trusted independent reports on the state of our environment. So that is critical. And so this bill fails. It completely fails because the actual content, the topics which will be covered by these periodic reports, be it they on the domains or the other, I forget the term, sequential type reports that will be coming, those reports, sir, will be completely set in place by regulation through the ministers. So it lacks independence. But I also want to touch on the irony of the government, sir, because the last time we were debating this bill, just prior to this bill, we were debating a bill on the New Zealand Super Fund. And the members opposite were lauding the virtues of independence of the New Zealand Super Fund. How? And I believe it was Mr Bishop, and he said in his speech, sir, that we are politicians. We aren't best placed to make investment decisions. Well, sir, the same could be applied for this independent financial reporting. We are politicians, that's right, and we are not best placed to make decisions or to actually provide independent reports on the state of our environment. And so, sir, that was demonstrated by Ms Hayes and by Mr Bishop that this government is lost. They really haven't a clue in terms of what is required for providing independent reporting on the state of our environment. And it's a shame on this government that they are pushing through this bill when there are deep flaws in it. Deep flaws. We need to make sure that if we are, and this is very important, it is a very important topic that we have independent reporting on our environment. Well, let's make it independent. Let's take the topics out of the realm of the ministers, and let's make sure that the independent government officials who are charged by statute, and that's the irony again, sir, if we look at clause 14, I believe it is, the statute says that the government officials, the statistician and the Secretary for the Environment, have to act independently of the government. Well, that in itself, sir, shows you how flawed the bill is, because how can you have an independent report when the actual topics that will be considered in the report are actually cooked up by the ministers themselves? And sure, the ministers may have to consult and follow a statutory process around how they finalise the decisions, but at the end of the day, the decisions, the topics that will be covered in the reports are completely the domain of the ministers, and therefore the reports lose all credibility, sir, and that's why we oppose this bill. Chair.
I call Matt Ducey.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker.